Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hold up now. Hold up now. Say it with me. Say it with me. The Philadelphia Eagles blow out the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship game. Say it with me. We'll wait till everybody gets in here, man. Say it with me. The Philadelphia Eagles lay a whooping on the Commanders. They blow them out, and the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Hold up now. I can't even talk. I'm so excited, man. I can't even talk. I'm so excited, man. The Eagles end the Cinderella run for the Washington Commanders and Joshua Harris and Jaden Daniels and take everybody else. The defensive coordinator, throw him in the mix too. Throw Frankie Louvu, who tried to jump a tush push 5 times in a row. The Eagles win in absolutely dominating fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl after one of the most dominant performances that I have ever seen on the biggest stage, man. We could talk about this game. We could talk about how it ensued. We could talk about this and that. The fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Eagles in 2 weeks will be in the Super Bowl with a chance to take one home. I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my mind. I can't take it right now. Eagles are unbelievable, man. This is, if they can finish this off, man, this is the best team in Eagles history. Fight your grandma about it, all right? Holy crap, man. I mean, they didn't just win. They didn't give us heart palpitations. No, they absolutely dominated from start to finish. Oh, are we going to have to hear some people eat crow, man? We're going to have to hear people eat crow. Did you guys see what Jalen Hurts did today? Oh, dear Lord. Were all the analysts watching? Were all the media people watching? Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles at the link on a Sunday afternoon just put up 55 points to beat the Commanders. Holy crap, man. Dear Lord. Dear Lord. Oh my gosh, man. This is a game they will never forget. I know we got things to talk about. I am so freaking hyped, man. This team is unreal. The Eagles are inevitable, man. The Philadelphia Eagles are inevitable in 2024-25. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my God. I mean, you want to talk about a celebration? I mean, where do we even start? How about we start with the end of the game, man? I'm recording my post-game reel. I'm trying to get set up, and I see Will Shipley breaking off a 57-yard run. The Commanders' defense is so bad. They got holes like cheese, man. Will Shipley, it almost took it to the house, man. Oh, my gosh. 55 on their head top. They thought their 45 piece against the Lions was the best thing ever. What did I tell you, man? Saquon Barkley is the truth. Tip my hat to Jaden Daniels. He's had an amazing rookie year. But even that hero ball couldn't save the Commanders' defense and just how pitiful they were, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most dominating stretches I've ever seen in my entire life, man. Do we realize that the Eagles have not lost a game? That Jalen Hurts started and finished since week 5, since week 4, before the bye week? I mean, can you believe this? And the Washington Commanders, they got hype. They got hype back in week 16. They got hype. They were celebrating in the locker room like they had just won the Super Bowl. Well, guess what, man? Your run ends today because you just got beat down. You got beat down. That's the most points that the Eagles have ever scored in an NFC championship. 55. Holy crap, man. Wow. Wow, what a game. Look, man, here's what I want to say about this game. We can talk about so many different individuals, so many momentum swings. It felt like this game was in reach in the third quarter. But as I've said every single week, the Philadelphia Eagles, when they need to make a play, when they need to make a drive, when they need to string together a couple plays that will put them in the comfortable cushion to win the game. They do it every single time. I mean, there's so many things to go back. What do we have? 8 touchdowns in this game? The Eagles had 8 touchdowns, man. They had 8 touchdowns in this game. And yes, was it perfect? No. Was there mistakes? Yes, but I don't give a crap about that right now. I really don't. Because this, again, just goes with the perfect rhythm of the season. Like, this was one of the best performances I've ever seen on the biggest stage. And shout out to, who said it in the chat? Scum in the chat said, this is for Kobe. Shout out to Kobe, man. Shout out to Kobe. 5 years to the day of his passing. Rest in peace. And for all the fallen ones out there, man, for all our loved ones, for the people, that are not able to see this. Like, sure, the job's not done yet, but what this Eagles team is doing right now, you don't get this often, man. This level of dominance does not come around like this. It does not come around like this, man. It is absolutely incredible. It is out of this world what this team is doing, and it is time that everybody needs to wake up and realize how amazing this team is, right? All week long, all year long, we've heard about, other teams. We've heard about other stories and this and that. It's time to start talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. It is time to start talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. The Philadelphia Eagles went 14-3 in the regular season. They have now won 3 games in the playoffs and are going back to the Super Bowl. 17-3 on the season. 1 game was lost by a Saquon drop. 1 game was lost because Jalen Hurts got injured in the first quarter. I mean, that's unbelievable. The Eagles have now scored the most points in a conference championship in NFL history. Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton had 49 back in 2015. And the Eagles just put up 55 points, man. 6 combined rushing touchdowns from Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Will Shipley had a rushing touchdown. 7 rushing touchdowns, man. 7 rushing touchdowns. It's like I don't even want to dissect the game, man. I feel like I'm on cloud 9 right now. This was an unbelievable performance, man. Ladies and gentlemen, give me one word in the chat right now to describe how you're feeling about this game. Welcome into the A to Z Postgame show presented by BetMGM. Welcome into the A to Z Postgame show presented by BetMGM. I'm losing my mind right now. I can't even think straight. This is unbelievable, man. This is an unbelievable feeling. And to be quite honest with you, enjoy it, appreciate it, man. Job's not done yet. But this team has what it takes. We've said it all year long. They are the most complete team in the NFL, whether it is Saquon Barkley, who opens up this game with a 60-yard rushing touchdown. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to start talking about Saquon like one of the greatest athletes in the entire world. Everybody wants to, pump their chest out about Jalen Daniels, and yeah, he's a rookie. He's had a great year. I don't give a crap. What Saquon Barkley is doing in this game. Do we realize that he only had 15 carries in this game? You know why? Because they kept him fresh. They kept him fresh for the Super Bowl. They didn't even have to play him that much. Saquon Barkley broke off a 60-yard run to begin the game. I was waiting for him to break one off in the fourth quarter, but he wasn't even on. He wasn't even on. That's how dominating this game was, man. I mean, I have notes written down, but I just, off the top of my head, I mean, for the Eagles to come out, Washington goes on an 18-play drive to begin this game, and, they're throwing it, they're dumping it off. Jaden Daniels makes some big plays. Commanders get a field goal. They had 2 4th downs, 2 3rd downs converted on the first drive, and the Eagles come back. Will Shipley, by the way, on special teams, shout out to Will Shipley, man. 4 carries, 77 yards and a touchdown. But Will Shipley returns the first kickoff for the Eagles to the 40, and Saquon on the first play, which people are not going to give Jalen credit for again like they didn't last week, but Jalen switches up the play call. He goes under center, and he pitches it to Saquon, who takes it to the house. I mean, 7 60-plus yard touchdowns in a single season. Nobody has ever had more than 4. Saquon has 7. 7. Unbelievable play for Jalen Hurts to recognize the defense. And, later in the game, Saquon, I think he had a 23-yard run, and he almost had, or it was a 21-yard run, almost had another touchdown. I can't even keep track of all the touchdowns that happened in this damn game. But Jalen Hurts finishes 20 for 28, 246 and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, 15 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 10 carries, 16 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had one where he ran effortlessly into the end zone. Effortlessly. I'm sorry, I can't even talk. I'm so excited right now, man. Effortlessly into the end zone. And I want to talk for a second about the Commanders' defensive coordinator. What's his name? Joe Witt. They're calling him Nimwit. Yo, let me tell you something, Joe Witt. You look like a damn fool, man. You look like a fool. To be quite honest with you, man, Joe Witt, you set your boys up for failure. He came out this week and said, we're going to hit Jalen Hurts like a running back. And Frankie Louvu came out and said, we're going to, hit Saquon like a running back. We're going to hit him hard. Yeah, well, guess what? Jalen Hurts, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Saquon Barkley, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Will Shipley, touchdown. Unbelievable. And you know what's crazy, man? Saquon Barkley's birthday is on the Super Bowl day. On February 9th, Saquon Barkley will turn 28 years old with a chance to win the trophy. I mean, this is unbelievable, man. Joe Witt, you are a fool, man. You thought that was going to deliver a message to your boys? You guys played soft like Charmin, man. What else, man? We got to talk about Jalen Hurts, man. We got to talk about Jalen Hurts. All week. Matter of fact, the last 5 weeks, the last 4 weeks, I've sat here and I've been listening to some of these outlets. I've been listening to some of these talking heads, and I've listened to them try to take down Jalen Hurts. And no, he has not played perfect. No, he has not made every throw. It hasn't even looked polished at times. But you know what Jalen Hurts does, man? He wins. He wins. He wins every freaking game. Every time you need him to play well, he does. You need him to go on a drive, I got you. He makes the play. And you know what's crazy, ladies and gentlemen? After that Pittsburgh Steelers game back in week, whatever it was, 15, I think, where Jalen Hurts came out and he told the media, he said, just because we don't do it doesn't mean we can't. That saying stuck with me. It stuck with me for a while. And Jalen Hurts does not turn the football over. He has only turned it over once after the first couple weeks. Do you know how insane that is? He has only turned it over once after the first couple weeks of the season. He plays turnover-free football. Meanwhile, the Washington Commanders had, 4 turnovers today? Eagles are now 32-1 in their last 33 games when they win the turnover battle. And Jalen Hurts comes out here today. And like he said, just because we don't do it all the time doesn't mean we can't. And he absolutely shreds the Washington Commanders defense. We talked all week about coming in and playing against a defense that was 3rd worst against the run. Well, how about against the pass? How about that loser Marshawn Lattimore who's trying to get up in AJ's grill and he's trying to hit Saquon and this and that? You can't do anything. You can't do anything. Jalen Hurts played maybe his best game of the season. He played maybe his best game of the season today. He made every big throw. I'm trying to think of the ones off the top of my head. I can't remember because it was an absolute massacre. I know he hit AJ in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown. A 4th and 5, that was a very pivotal play. Hurts gets flushed by the blitz, throws it up, deep ball to AJ, perfectly thrown. Beautiful ball right in the breadbasket. I mean, this guy just made play after play after play. Let's go back in my notes a little bit, man. I mean, some of these drives the Eagles went on, they just absolutely went through the Commanders like butter, man. Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown made a big play. Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith for 20 yards. That was on the second touchdown drive. I mean, this is nuts, man. Then you had to play early in the game. The Eagles are up 14-3. The Commanders knew at one point in this game that they were about to go down, and it was in the first quarter. The Commanders knew they were in desperation mode in the first quarter because it was 14-3, and they're on their own side of the field, and Dan Quinn draws up a fake punt. Tress Way, and this was probably the worst play of the game for the Eagles. And if the worst play of the game is not being able to stop a fake punt, I think it's a pretty damn good game. And we saw the guy kind of motioning in the backfield. Tress Way ends up throwing it for like 20 yards, and they complete it, and they keep the drive going. If the Eagles would have stopped them there, they would have scored 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. I mean, that's how dominant the Eagles were playing. Commanders get a field goal, and then the Eagles had a drive where they're moving the ball down the field, and it was 14-6 at this point, 35 yards on a 12-play drive, and the Eagles end up drawing up a brutal third down call, right? They're at the Washington 27. It's 3rd and 6, and Jalen Hurts ends up taking a sack, and I didn't think it was on Jalen Hurts. I thought Jalen Hurts had a lot of pocket awareness today. He only got sacked twice, but the one sack he did have, Moore had a really weird play call after a timeout. He kind of motioned Calcaterra into the backfield with Saquon, and Jalen Hurts ended up taking a sack, which then led to Jake Elliott missing a field goal. And then after that, the Commanders end up going down the field and scoring. But after that, from that point on, there was nothing that the Commanders do or did to stop the Eagles, man. Jalen Hurts was gutsy. He was ballsy. And I want to hear every freaking media person stick it, you know where. I want to hear every person this week give Jalen the credit. Jalen tried to warn you people, man. He said, just because we don't do it all the time doesn't mean we can't pull it out the back pocket. We have A.J. Brown, who had, 6 catches, 96 yards in this game and a touchdown. Dallas Goedert, 7 catches, 85 yards. Devontae, 4 catches, 45 yards. They're just too dominant, man. They have too many weapons. I haven't even gotten to the defensive side of the ball. I thought on the defensive side, the Eagles came out and they were physical. They took away the Washington running game right off the rip. Washington had 99 yards in this game, but on 25 carries, less than 4 yards a carry. Jaden Daniels had the most rushing yards with 48, and he had a really nice rushing touchdown where he juked the defense, but outside of that, the Eagles literally stuffed the heck out of this team. They were physical. I said it before the game. They were going to win with physicality and toughness. It was going to be one up front in the trenches on the offensive line and the defensive line. And that actually reminds me, man, I got to give another shout out. Actually, let me ask you guys in the chat right now. If I asked you, who's your player of the game? Who are you going to say? Who would be your player of the game? It's hard. Jalen, 4 total touchdowns. Saquon, 3 touchdowns. Who are you giving the player of the game to? I'm going to give you guys an underrated one, man. I'm going to give you guys an underrated one because obviously it's Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, right? But without Landon Dickerson and without Cam Jurgens, the Eagles don't win this game. I got to give a shout out, first off, to Landon Dickerson, who an hour before the game is told, hey, you're starting at center, buddy. He decides to slide over and play center. I thought Tyler Steen was tremendous at left guard. And Landon Dickerson gets hurt, I think, in the first quarter. I don't even know how he got hurt, but he's muscling through an injury. You could see him every drive, after every drive on the sideline, like Stoutland and Jurgens are going up to him. He's like, yo, like, leave me alone. I'm good. I can play. And you could just tell he's in a world of pain. And Landon Dickerson toughs it out. He fights it through to the end of the first half, and he ends up coming out because he just could not go anymore. So then Cam Jurgens, who was first listed as inactive, then they list him as active as an emergency center, who's usually the starter for the team. He has to come back in and play the whole second half. I'm talking about tush push, Abon, tush push. Eagles are running the ball like crazy. For Cam Jurgens to play through a back injury where he couldn't even start the game, and he comes back in and plays as good as he did. Like, I know everybody's looking at Jalen and Saquon, but without Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson toughing it up the way that they did, this game would not have gone the way that it did. Unbelievable job, and it just shows, man, how freaking tough this team is. Wow. I thought the whole offensive line was amazing. Daniels got sacked 3 times. Hurts got sacked twice. Kenny Gainwell got hit. Pretty much a cheap shot on a kickoff. He had a concussion, but other than that, everybody played well. My defensive MVP of this game. Who would be your defensive MVP of the game? There's so many guys, whether it's Nolan Smith with the late sack or Zach Bond punching the ball out. But you know what, man? I'm going to give some love to Oren Burks, baby. Oren Burks was fantastic in this game. He had a sack early on, and then he punched out the ball later on another fumble. I think that was the Eckler one. For Oren Burks, who's a veteran, to come in after not really playing much other than special teams and fill in for Nakobe Dean and play the way that he did today, man. Oren Burks. Great job, Oren Burks, man. What a game. What a game, man. But there's so many guys. I mean, Quinyon had an interception at the end. Shout out to playoff Quinyon. You had Darius Slay, who's been fantastic. Blankenship making hard hits. I thought DeJean made some hard hits. Nice deflection early in the game. And, of course, Zach Bond, who should be Defensive Player of the Year, as everybody is now seeing on the major stage. 12 tackles today. I mean, he's unreal. Zach Bond makes plays every single week. But for Oren Burks to stand in for Nakobe Dean and play the way that he did, I mean, they took away the deep ball altogether. All the Commanders had in this game was dump-offs and little runs improvised from Jaden Daniels. So we could talk about Jaden Daniels as a hero and all this crap, but nobody can beat the Eagles' defense. Nobody. And I might be crazy. Maybe I'm living on the high of the world right now, but I think the Eagles can beat Kansas City or Buffalo. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? And it's weird. Kellen Moore does this thing now. Like early in the season, he used to come out and flatline in the first quarter, and then he would start calling amazing plays for the rest of the game. Now the Eagles seem to come out with 2 quick scores every game, then they go quiet for a quarter, and then they come back and resurrect at halftime. And, I mean, the same formula played out today. And you know what's crazy? What I'm noticing is that Saquon Barkley, it's like they have him on a minute restriction. Like he comes out, he breaks a touchdown every game in the first quarter. Then they don't go back to him for like 10 plays. Then he gets like 1 or 2 carries in the second quarter, and he comes back in the third and fourth and seals the deal. But he didn't even have to do it in this game. Yeah, he had a nice couple touchdowns after, but it was just so easy the way that they were moving the ball, man. It's the way that they were moving the ball was so easy, man. And then you had the Commanders trying to play chippy, and I get it, right? You're the little kid. You're not the bully. You're the little brother. But you got what's his name? Saren still. He knocks, who was it? Saquon. He hits Saquon out of bounds, and people are complaining like, oh, that shouldn't have been a penalty. Of course it should. He hit him out of bounds. You got Marshawn Lattimore, who can't guard my little brother that I don't even have, and he's trying to get in A.J. Brown's face. Then A.J. Brown gets him mad even more on the next play, and he's grabbing A.J. Brown, and A.J.'s like, hey, you get the penalty, not me. A.J. Brown's a dog, man. He's got Lattimore chirping in his face, and not only do they get the touchdown on the next play, but A.J. Brown draws an unsportsmanlike penalty on him. A.J. Brown's so good. Do we have any more questions about A.J. Brown? Are we going to cry about, what book he read on the sideline or maybe what he ate for breakfast yesterday? Are we done criticizing A.J. Brown, who is the best receiver in the NFL? I know I'm talking crazy right now, man, but this team deserves it. This team deserves it. They're so good. Jalen Hurts, 246 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. There is absolutely nothing they can say about Jalen Hurts after this game other than he played like an MVP quarterback today. He played like an MVP quarterback today, man. Gardner Johnson had a great tackle. I think that was on a 3rd down. Special teams was great. Jake Elliott did miss a field goal. His first missed field goal in his playoff career, but he did kick some big extra points, 7 for 7. So shout out to Jake Elliott, man. All right, I'm going to get to the comments here. I want to get you guys incorporated in the chat. I want to know how confident you are in this team on a scale from 1 to 10, and what was your main takeaway from this game? I want to know what your main takeaway is from this game, because for me, my overarching take from this game is complete win. This team is going the distance, and they're going to get it done. And one thing I want to add on that is that I felt this way before. I felt this way in 2022, but there's a difference about this team. And you know what it is? This team doesn't just get by on natural talent. Like, yeah, they're amazing. They're talented. The 2022 team was talented, but this team can literally beat you down in every way. And anytime their back is against the wall, they are so torturous, man. Like, they are going to bully you. The level of physicality that this team plays with is second to none. This team is a bully, man. This team is a bully. They are going to come out and they are going to punch you in the face. And I love it. I love it. You know what's even crazier? I said this to my father during the game. You want to know something that's crazy that I bet nobody is even thinking about? The Eagles' top 2 paid players aren't even playing on defense. Howie Roseman, baby. Howie Roseman's the GOAT GM, man. Does anybody remember Bryce Huff and James Bradbury? Remember those guys? I don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everybody can play, man. Milton Williams, Jordan Davis had a sack. Oh, man. Howie Roseman is an unbelievable GM, man. He is unbelievable. I want to get into a couple more of the plays, but I want to get the chat going. First, I got to let you guys know about BetMGM. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to check out BetMGM, especially with the big game coming up. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before with BetMGM. Sign up with the code ATOZPA. Get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlays, live bets, player props, daily boosts, and odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So sign up with the bonus code ATOZPA. Get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Shout out to BetMGM, rocking with us all season long. Man, I hit my parlay. I took Saquon 2 tutties, and you know he did it in the first half. He did it in the first half, man. Shout out to Saquon Barkley. Man, I mean, you had the Zach Bond punch out. You had Oren Burks punch one out. Commanders were butterfingers, man. They were fumbling all which ways today. All which ways. What'd they have? Let's go to the fumbles, man. Austin Eckler with a fumble. De'Ami Brown with a fumble. Jeremy McNichols had a fumble on the kickoff. Insane plays, man. All right, let's go over to the chat. We got Phil. He says, Eagles showed a complete beatdown on a team picked to win the Super Bowl. Jason says, Eagles will still not win. All right, Jason, we'll take your hate and butt and get out of here, man, because we're living high right now. We got Alaska in the YouTube chat. Says, Hurts played out of his mind today. I agree 100%. Jalen Hurts was an MVP player today. He took all that criticism. He took what everybody's been saying. By the way, was Jalen Hurts' mobility an issue? Hell no. Jalen Hurts took his knee brace off before the game. The first drive, they showed him taking it off before he even went on the field. Jalen Hurts was running all up and down the field. And like I said, Joe Witt, the defensive coordinator for Washington, you did it to yourself, buddy. You did it to yourself. You shouldn't have called out Jalen. You shouldn't have said this and that. You sent a message, and the bulletin material got to the Eagles locker room, and they absolutely shredded your defense. I mean, 8 touchdowns, was it? I'm losing track, man. 8 touchdowns. 8. The Eagles just put up 8 touchdowns in an NFC championship. Most points in an NFC championship all time. Let's see, man. Craig says 9. The Eagles' offense and defense, as long as they played like they did tonight with intensity and hunger. They were hungry, man. They were hungry. Chris Moore says the Chiefs' defense is going to be tough to go against. Well, I believe in this Eagles team against anybody, man. And I get it. Mahomes finds a way to make a play. I get it, right? The Eagles find a way every game. They find a way every game to get it done. Joe says Spanks a TD from the first play. Ray, fly, Eagles, fly. Sylvester says Eagle Nation, baby. ABD says, I feel like this was the Eagles' way of telling the doubters to shove it. 100%, man. 100%. I mean, this was, like I said, this wasn't just a sneak by. I thought it would be 34-26. They scored 55 points, and I love that they ran it up on the Commanders. I love it. All those little fraudulent Commanders fans who have been coming out of their houses the last 2 weeks, last week. I mean, and I got to talk about this. I got to talk about it, man. For the Washington Commanders fans on my Twitter today who thought that taking over Hard Rock Cafe was taking over Philadelphia, I mean, you got to be kidding me, man. They're showing Howie Roseman up here on the stage, pumping his fist. The Hard Rock Cafe, look, I've been to Philly many times. We're all here, right? We live in the area. I didn't even know Hard Rock Cafe was in Philadelphia. Where the hell is Hard Rock Cafe? What are we doing, man? They thought they were taking over Philadelphia? The Hard Rock Cafe? Oh my gosh, man. There were more Commanders fans than I thought there would be in the stadium, but seeing them hit the exits in the early fourth quarter, that was amazing. That was amazing. Let's see. Josephine says, great game. Fly, Eagles, fly. Joe says, our D looks so tough. Reminds me of the early 90s. This defense, man, they are so tough. They just make play after play. Nolan Smith with a 4th and 12 sack late in the game. I mean, the way they're punching the ball out right now. The other thing I want to talk about is the sequence in the fourth quarter where, some of these losers for the Commanders couldn't accept defeat. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, man, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the chat, all right? I did not know that the referees could award a touchdown if a team jumps the line too many times. I did not know that was a thing. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this unfold. And of course, it's Frankie Louvu, the dirty player that hit Hurts back in week 16, and he hit Jared Goff last week. And I'm watching, man. It's 1st and goal at the 1 after the Saquon run. Jalen Hurts, brotherly shove. That one was short for no gain. And then we start maybe the most wild sequence I've ever seen in my life. And I'm sitting there just trying to make sense of it all. But on 2nd and goal, Washington, they jump the line. Frankie Louvu stays back and he times it up and he ends up running and jumping over the line for an encroachment. Then they reset. He ends up doing it again. And it got to a point where he's just doing it on purpose. So he jumps the line twice. And then the ref comes out and they say if Frankie Louvu does it again, he's going to get a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. So I'm saying, okay, interesting. Then on the next play, I think the Eagles did a hard count and they get the whole defensive line to jump. Jonathan Allen jumps the line. Then the referee comes out again and he says that they could award us a touchdown if they continue to do it. And I wrote down what he said. He said it was a palpably unfair act and that if they did it again, the Eagles would be awarded a touchdown. You ever just know something so inevitable, man? You ever know something is just going to happen and you're just waiting, and they knew it was coming, man. Then the Eagles snapped it. They got it in. They didn't even try to stop them because they couldn't. And how about Cam Jurgens? Like I said, being tough as nails out there with a hurt back, just constantly moving the line. Yeah, they got him once on the 2-point conversion, but the brotherly shove today was absolutely electric. Man, what else do we say? Jalen Hurts threw a deep ball to Dallas Goedert. He was held by Jeremy Chin. There was a couple other ones. There was one early in the game where Dallas Goedert was held. I thought the refs missed a ton of penalties. I mean, the Washington Commanders were holding every time. Another guy I want to give credit to is Saquon, not for the runs, but I thought Saquon Barkley made some really, really solid blocks in this game. Really solid blocks in this game, especially on the Jalen Hurts touchdown run. I mean, that was huge, man. I think it was a 9-yard touchdown run. whatever it was first and goal from the 9, and Jalen Hurts ran it in, and Saquon Barkley delivered an amazing block to Frankie Louvu, and you had Tom Brady on the broadcast like, oh, that should have came back. That should have been a hold. The announcing, the officiating, all of it was biased, but nonetheless, man, even that couldn't stop the Philadelphia Eagles. And I thought they kept Saquon fresh, and to have 2 touchdowns on the first 2 carries for Saquon and then manage him the rest of the game, and he still has 3 touchdowns. Jalen with 4 total touchdowns. Will Shipley, like I said, man, total team effort. This team is incredible. And, I mean, you just can't stop them. You know what the Eagles are going to do. And I said that all week. You know what the Eagles' formula is. You know what the formula is. You just can't stop it. You know it's coming. You know what is coming to you. And you can't stop it. 21 points in the fourth quarter. I guess the Washington Commanders and their little magical run ran out because they had 0 in the fourth quarter. Other than that, man, I just, I can't complain at all about this game. I can't complain at all. Sidney Brown had a nice special teams play. Unfortunately, Keely Ringo had his toe on the line and he jumped and hit the ball. But, man, as long as Dickerson and Juergens are okay, should be able to get them back here in a couple weeks. I mean, Eagles are looking pretty fresh. They're looking pretty solid, and they're on a good track here. And I think they're in a really good spot. They're in a really good spot, man. Zach Ertz actually had 104 yards. He had a couple in the last drive, but, Terry McLaurin, 3 catches, 51 yards and a touchdown. He was pretty much shut down, though, the whole game. Vic Fangio and his style of defense, I'm trying to think back, and I'm trying to think of points in this game where, they were starting to let up. Like, it felt like, I'd say for the first 2 quarters, that the Commanders still had something left in the tank, It felt like they still had a little bit of juice and they were going to keep themselves at least in reachable distance. But I just didn't feel like the Eagles were going to let up. I mean, they had 27 in the first half. I just didn't feel like they were going to let up at all. I felt like the Eagles were in control from start to finish. So that's where I'm at, man. I mean, people are storming the streets right now. That they're probably greasing the polls. One more to go, man. One more to go. My final statement here is that this is a special, special football team, and I hope they can get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you right now in the chat. I know the Buffalo-Kansas City game is ongoing, but here's my question. Who would you rather see in the Super Bowl? Kansas City or Buffalo? That's what I want to know from the people in the chat. You guys have been amazing. I'm going to take a sip of water because I've been screaming for the last 4 hours at this game, and my throat is sore. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited, man. I'm so excited. I feel like there's so much more left to give with this team. Man. Green in the chat says your explanations are hella good. Thank you, man. Really appreciate, by the way, everybody who's coming in here supporting the show. Do me a favor, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll have videos out all week and, of course, next week leading up to the Super Bowl. But they got to find a way to finish it off, man. One more. They got to find a way to finish it off, man. They need to find a way. Thomas says, do you smell what Philly is cooking? I think we do. In terms of Kansas City and Buffalo, it's a hard pick for me because on the one hand, I think about Buffalo, really good story. Josh Allen is playing out of his mind, even though Saquon should be the MVP. Another 100-yard game, by the way. But, Buffalo's playing well. They're a good story. Crazy fans. That would be cool. And Kansas City, when I look at them, Mahomes hasn't played that well this season. Their weapons are banged up. Kelsey's starting to come around, and he's playing his best ball. Their defense is really good. And I feel like Mahomes just finds a way to make a play. I feel like Mahomes just finds a way to always make a play. So if I felt confident against one team over the other, as crazy as it sounds, even though I feel like Buffalo is a better team, and I do think they're actually going to beat them tonight, But I think I'd want to play Buffalo. I think I would want to play Buffalo because, they haven't been there. They haven't had that success as a franchise. They're not there for the three-peat, and the NFL referees are going to side a lot with Patrick Mahomes. And like I said, when that guy needs to make a play, he's just really tough to put away, as we saw 2 years ago. But then on the other hand, I also would like them to beat Mahomes so that people can say that the Eagles beat the best in the world in Brady and Belichick and Mahomes and Reed. So tell you what, man, either way, I think the Eagles have what it takes to get it done. I think they have what it takes to win it all, man. This is a complete team up and down. The quarterback finally again showed today, even though he didn't have to, that he can play and win the game when he needs to and put the team on his back. And the Eagles are here, man. I'm seeing a lot of Bills in the chat. A lot of people want to play Buffalo. I think that would be a really good matchup, man. I think that would be a good story for the league. Of course, everybody would want to see Buffalo win, but I don't care anymore. I don't care about the narratives. I don't care what people have to say. The Philadelphia Eagles are one game away from being champs. What a game, man. Most points ever in an NFC championship, 55-23. This team is inevitable. The Eagles are inevitable. That is the statement of the day. The Eagles are inevitable. Jalen Hurts played like an MVP, and Saquon Barkley can't be stopped. AJ can't be stopped. And every time this defense needs to make a play, they make it. So now the Eagles get to sit back and watch. They get to sit back and watch and see what happens. But it's going to be a good build-up, man. Let's shout out some people in the chat, man. Like I said, we'll be live after the Super Bowl, of course. We might go live over the next couple weeks. We'll be dropping a ton of videos, man. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are nearing 10,000 subscribers. Man, it's been a great season, and it continues for another 2 weeks. Phil says, how about a live one during the wait? We might do a live stream, man. We might do another live stream in between. I'm so excited, man. Shout out to Rachel in the chat. We got Tony says Buffalo. Chris says Lamar should be out of the MVP conversation. Tony says Eagles going to the Super Bowl. Green says we don't have to worry about the refs. Jim says Buffalo deserves it. Kathy says congrats, you guys were amazing. This team is amazing, man. They are. Shout out to NFL Prods in the chat. Sean says book the tickets. Birds of the Super Bowl. We're going to New Orleans, baby. Before we get out of here, can I get everybody dropping an Eagles chant in the chat? I'm going to try to muster out one more. I've been screaming for the last 4 hours. I am hyped up. Can we do it in the chat, man? Everybody dropping Eagles in the chat. Ready on 3. 1, 2, 3. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles! Birds to New Orleans, baby. 1 game to go. 4 quarters left. Time for this team to pull in another trophy, man. Let's go. Big win over the Commanders. Sent them boys packing. Eagles own the division rights. They own the conference rights. 55 points. They're 17-3. They haven't lost a game in which Hurts has started and finished since before the bye week. And these boys are lit, man. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I will catch up with you guys over the next couple weeks. Be sure to tap into all the content. Eagles to the Super Bowl, man. Let's freaking go. Let's go, man. Enjoy the rest of your guys' night. Come follow me on social media, man, at RB Philly Take. Connect with me there. And shout out to BetMGM, man, for partnering the postgame show. A to Z Philly postgame show. Birds to the bowl, baby. We'll see if they can finish it off in an incredible season. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll catch you guys.